Welcome to Circle of Hearts Radio. Journey with Grandmother Allayah as she enters her magical world of relics, sacred sites, and ancient crystal skulls. Meet with exciting trailblazer authors and individuals shifting the consciousness of humanity. Send her your questions to be answered on air on her monthly segment, Ask the Oracle. And now your host, Grandmother Allayah, in the sanctuary on the airwaves on Om Times Radio.
Welcome to the Circle of Hearts Radio on Om Times Radio, OTRNR FM. Today is, welcome to my sanctuary. My sanctuary is a little bit rattled because it's been a crazy day. It must be all that's going on in this world. But I think we're pretty well strained out today. And I think it's really interesting the way anybody that's followed me has seen that Spirit has always guided me to have certain shows at certain times. Now, when I introduced you to Jill Mattson, it's really interesting because she's an amazing expert on sound healing, energy vibration. I never really looked at sound as far as creational. And in today's world, with all the fear that's going on and people voicing their opinions, it'll be really interesting to find the scientific background on what you're doing and what you're creating. Jill Mattson is an author, an artist, a musician, and widely recognized expert and composer in the emerging field of sound healing. She's written 4 books and produced 7 CDs. The CDs consist of intriguing magical tracks using ancient and modern techniques with sound energy and special healing frequencies to achieve profound benefits. This is, hi Jill.
Hello.
It's crazy
a beautiful
today.
Sunny day here. Yeah, so crazy, sometime good.
Yeah, well, I think at least it's, we're all crazy here together today, but, we got started. And your approach to, when I first saw sound healing, I'm familiar with the basics of, you get involved either drumming or gongs and raising your vibration, but you have a whole different approach. This is the science of it.
Yes.
This is the historical, how it's been used throughout history. I mean, I've read all your information. I've looked at your videos on YouTube and go, wow, I know absolutely nothing.
So I don't know if that's true at all.
Oh, no. I mean, as far as sound goes, I've studied the esoteric sciences. And they always said, first was the word or sound or, creation. And then it kind of left my head. And then I'm reading all your information and you have sound equated with science, geometry, and mathematics. I'm going, oh my God.
Yes.
So first off, I just wanted to ask, how did you get drawn to this part of it, almost the esoteric meaning of sound, creational sound?
Well, I didn't actually even conceive of this idea. I went on a personal spiritual quest, and I'm a musician, a passionate musician, and a healer. I've always worked in charities, for 25 years. And so as I went on this quest, I was looking for different Bibles, trying to find a much more loving God than that of the Old Testament.
Right.
So over the hills and through the valleys, and so I ended up with looking for different Jewish Bibles, finding the Kabbalah, which just really defined my passion, which was I was going to imagine the most loving, fabulous God, because whomever or whatever I could imagine how great it was would reflect on who I am. Like if I have a God who says go out and kill people, what's that going to reflect on me? So I'm almost looking for definitions of not just God, but of the ultimate loving, healing, those kinds of things within mystery schools. And I certainly found it. It's each mystery school across the globe in this perhaps 25-year quest here showed a different way to God, but they also gave hints, like they would sprinkle their writing with hints about sound. And after 25 years, this is what I discovered, that most ancient societies believed that Atlantis was sunk in part by the misuse of sound energy. Is that true or not? I'm not saying, I don't really know. But I do know they believed that. And so they're well tuned to sound as a powerful modality, but it can be used for good or bad.
Yeah.
So therefore, they're not giving it out unless you're a trusted disciple, adept, or master. And even then, they give it out sparsely, primarily verbally. But it's like each mystery school, in order to stay afloat, and I do understand this from my own charities, which in a way are very much a business, you have to get people into your mystery school. So you kind of advertise a few secrets. Likewise, the best part of the movie is out in the trailer, to get you to come to the movie.
Right.
So they're all leaving a few methods out there. The Rosicrucians, the Theosophists, the Aborigines, the Egyptians, all over the globe. They're leaving tidbits, teasers about sound.
Right.
And I just started to put it all together and realize that they were, how to put this, they believe that subtle energy, meaning quantum energy in today's worlds, or perhaps another word might be just tiny bits of energy.
Right.
When you listen to sound, it changes your feelings. It's subtle, meaning just a little bit it changes your feelings, or it may not last long unless you have a high dosage, but little packets of energy that are malleable, like your thoughts, feelings, and most importantly, sound. Ancient man would control these variables and then get a high enough dosage to make a difference in matter.
Which makes a lot. No, go ahead. I was going to say it makes a lot of sense to me, because when your newest work that you showed me, I was fascinated by the historical references, like ancient China. They would check all the different provinces and say, okay, what kind of music are these people playing? To see if they're all compliant and together, or somebody rattling something with a different vibrational sound that's going to affect the kingdom. Or
and look at what we think of Chinese music. It all kind of sounds alike.
Right.
And furthermore, they were not just policing the type of music, but the actual notes that you tuned on. So let's say, Leah, you tune on A and I tune on A, and when you sound them both together, they sound like crap. The ancient Chinese would assume then that you and I would not have a good relationship because we tuned on tones that were dissonant.
I know, it's totally amazing. I never heard of that before. And that's what's so exciting about what you're putting out to the world, because basically most people are like me. Okay, let's go to a gong bath, or let's go, to drumming. But when you start seeing how sound is used to affect people, we're going to be going on a break. I think we'll continue this part. Like the drums, the soldiers, let's get them riled, get to that beat. Let's get them, energetic, to move forward. Or the new age,
or let's scare the crap out of our enemies.
Yeah. I never thought of it that way. So to see it in print and to hear you discuss it, it's like, oh, this is good.
And my Ancient Sounds book, that's the book you're referring to.
Yeah.
I've had it now for 3 days. It is hot off the press.
Oh, yeah.
Well, people can look at it at ancient-music.com. But yeah, I'm so excited I just got it.
Yeah, I was fascinated. Oh, well, we're going to break. We'll continue about how sound affects the subtle energies of people, the aura, and especially the spoken word I want to get into, especially with what's going on in the world and how people are speaking about fear and all this other things. All right, we'll be back with Jill.
Conscious media for conscious minds. Om Times. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at Om Times Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. Om Times Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
This is Terry Van Horn, and I want to invite you to join me for my weekly radio show, Hailing Light, on Om Times Radio every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Hailing Light, we want to bring love, light, and blessings into your world. You can find out more about us at www.healinglightonline.com. Blessings.
Join Elliot Jollish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jollish Hour, as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jollish Hour. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. The Real Conscious Connection. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Well, we're back with Jill Mattson, and we're only touching upon a few things. And this information is very, very exciting and prevalent in today's world. I like to touch upon, Jill, subtle energy, because now people are doing more mantras, trying to center themselves in all this chess. And what's interesting, and I never thought of this, like I said, there's a lot I learned from you, is since, to think of us as energy beings, and the spoken word, you're putting out, the sound is almost can be broken down into geometrics, the Platonic solids.
Yes. Yes.
And this is creational. I mean, we're not just, saying nothing. We are, in every word that we're saying, we're creating something, which blows my mind, Jill.
Yes, absolutely. And science confirms that. In my ancient sounds book, I have these photographs where people would put sand on like a metal plate. And then they would use different pitches. And this would also be altered with different consonants or vowel sounds. And you just have the sounds underneath, or ancient man would do it by putting sand on a drum and then singing like Om underneath the drum forever until they would have had headaches, I'm sure, from boredom. But they would do it, shake the sand, and the sand would go to the edge, turn around, kind of vibrate in. It would like pile up in places, and it would create very precise drawings. For example, the Om sound creates the symbol that we use for Om. Yeah. So ancient language was not symbolic like today. It was the energy of what it was.
Awesome.
So, like, for example, in Egypt, Ben would be walking forward. You spell it backwards, sound it back. Neb is walking backwards. It's not symbolic. And this is what people in the mystery schools refer to as the ancient languages of light. They were more powerful because they were more a direct creation. So today we create with our voices too. It's a little dulled down because our words don't match the energy of the thing, and that maybe makes it a little less potent. It still works.
Well, I think
You
also
still create.
because people, since they don't understand this, they just think, okay, we're children, we learn to talk and we just talk, but we're talking about speaking with intention.
Yeah.
And that is
And
a whole different, it's always been there, but we haven't thought about it.
yes, and we see that the science of sound, which is how ancient man would view the human. So you would have an octave of magnetic energy, an octave of bioelectric energy. You'd have an octave of sound in your body representing your motions. Your brain waves are another octave. Your muscles will fall into an octave, your tissues. You've got all these different octaves, and energy transfers on the same note and or octaves. So we might think one thing's going on at a time when many are. We might think we're doing our taxes when our heart's beating, our respiration's going, but so are our emotions. We're just not aware of them. So is our intent. We're just not aware of it. All that stuff is energy, and it's all vibrating all the time. Just because we're not conscious of it all doesn't mean it's not there.
Yeah, I think that's the whole thing of in having, you discuss this, which I know I'm going to have you back already, because we only can touch upon tiny, bits of this, is that we're coming into an age where people, just like on own times, a conscious awareness. People are becoming aware of who they are and what they are. So now it's time to take the tools and to create our world. But you can't create a world. You only can do it haphazardly unless you really have an idea of what you are and what you do.
Mm-hmm. Might be a little fun diversion if you'd like.
Yeah, please.
Ancient man created peace. And I'm just thinking because for those of you who listen after the fact, this was several days after the Paris bombings and the Paris terrorist attacks. The way ancient man approached peace was to produce loving, peaceful, harmonic music. And they would do it on ley lines, which would be lines where the electromagnetic current of the earth runs. Mm-hmm. And they intersect, like our pyramids and our sacred spots. So they would have huge choruses on all the sacred spots. Mm-hmm. And so they would cover the globe with people singing with love in their hearts, because those waves are going to combine. So singing with love in your heart mm-hmm. is different than singing with hate in your heart. And then they would also have these sounds that would go above water lines underneath the ground. So they would influence the vibratory energy of the water. And I challenge people, get 2 glasses of water and sing or have it one around beautiful music and have the other not. And they taste so much different. The one that had sweet sound tastes sweet. Mm-hmm. It alters. And so ancient man would use singing. They'd use it on earth currents, on water currents, air currents, and then they would try to draw a grid across the earth and vibrate the whole thing up.
So
then they were very interested in large numbers. Many of these old ancient orchestras would be 10,000 people big. That's huge.
What's interesting when you mention that is everybody that's been getting part of the, all these lessons is, all right, let's have these meditations. But this is all from the crown chakra. From what you're saying is for the large groups of people all over the world that have these global meditations is to sing. To let their heart energy come up through their mouth and sing. Just don't stand there and just, I mean, I'm not judging it. It's just coming together in my head here. So, bear with me. I'm not judging anybody because I'm learning as, we go
It's very, very similar. It's like just creating the peaceful vibe on a different octave.
Yeah.
Very similar.
Yeah. No, go ahead, please.
Well, see, the idea is that it's a game of quantity. If you have enough people with peace and love and harmony, and then they're situated in spots where the energy travels the earth, that you literally will raise the vibration and make it very difficult for anybody who's of low vibration to function. I mean, that was the ancient idea. And so meditating would be a critical part of that. Singing would be the part that we've lost.
Yeah, so
but they both are critical components.
If all the people that go to sacred sites like Stonehenge, if they add their voices to the stone beings, because the crystal consciousness and the stone beings are a whole nother facet of this energy work. They're just not flat things there. I mean, they're vibrancy.
They're almost like, I almost think of those big stones as like a big computer bank, a data bank. And again, going back to Atlantis, one of their customs, of course I'm going to emphasize sound because that's really what trips my trigger, but in Atlantis, they would sing like in circles. There's Stonehenge just being one of many. And they would also be, again, under crisscrosses or water ley lines. So they're going to hit the water. They're going to hit the ley line or the Earth's electromagnetic currents. And then they're going to sing, and they usually sang in, like, if they were in a circle, they'd go in a vibratory spiral to the left, looking like the spiral rock placements from the Indians. And you go into the left, and then you spiral out back. And you would have a line of singers, so you're kind of doing like a labyrinth. And then the idea is that the energy goes into the stones, and you do this for thousands of years, and these stones become very much like crystal activators, like a place where healing occurs, and it becomes like a free community healing center. And we're seeing pictures of the Inquisition with the Catholics coming in, and you could see people taking their sick people to their stone circles. And of course, if the Romans caught them, they got killed because they were stamping out that idea. But it's like that a stone holds energy. Think of a crystal. People go into crystal shop and they'll pick up a pink one and a white one and a blue one and say, "Oh, don't they feel different?"
Yeah.
Same thing. And also we know it happens, like, let's say you go to a place like Gettysburg. I mean, wow, that sucks. Or Auschwitz,
Oh, yeah.
And contrast that with going to a sacred site. The difference is that in one place people have left pain, and in another they've left love and higher blessings.
Yeah, there's just
so people go to the sacred sites to kind of soak it up.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Just even when you were saying for healing thing, like Fatima, or where they've had miraculous healings. There's just so much. I think, like I said, we're going to be heading to another commercial break, but what I'm seeing is lost is people have lost their voices to do intentional. I mean, some people have figured this out. They use the power of the voice, like many of the charismatic leaders in the world, whether for good or for bad. For example, either you have the Pope or maybe, and this is a weird comparison, but you have Hitler. He used his voice for one thing, and the Pope. And these are just examples. I'm not comparing. And the Pope uses it for something else. So it's really amazing. People have lost the understanding of sound and the power of the voice. And this is important right now with all these things going on, that people take this back. All right, we'll continue this after this quick break.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness in action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
Time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community, bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Coming out, that did come out. We're going to let people know about it. Is even the Lemurians. Everything seems to involve whether the Lemurians or the Atlantean or people that were aware of how to use sound. It always involves the circle and voices. Whether it's possibly levitating, whether it's healing, and adding the added composition of color, which is another vibratory thing. How people work with it, and we've lost it. I mean, it's starting to come back, but people really need this information that you have to trigger them and say, "Oh yeah, this makes sense." But if the information's not out there, then we keep on being lost. So that's why I find it very exciting to be on radio, that, I get to talk to people like you and bring your work out so that it is available and people can say, "Oh, is this what I remember, but I wasn't too sure about," Mm-hmm. But I think I had mentioned in a pre-talk to you, even the walls of Jericho, how they brought, to... I'll let you explain that.
Yeah, sure. Think of a soprano singer singing very high and the champagne glass shattering. Now, it's not any high frequency that would shatter that champagne glass. It's the resonant frequency of the rock. So if you were to, rock's energy, like anything else, and you could count its cycles per second, or if it had several rocks all in one rock, you could even average them out. And so if you sang that note or notes energy transfers on the same note or an octave. So you keep sending energy into the rock. And this was one of the secrets for using sound to lift heavy rocks, was that you would figure out the frequency of the rock and then sing it. And it would fill it full of energy. And it's kind of like, according to ancient people, like an anti-gravity machine. Mm-hmm. So it would then sing into the rock and raise it up. But again, it's all a matter of quantity, because you're using quantum or small bits of energy. And think of the story in the Bible. How many? Was it 7 days?
Yeah.
With 7 trumpets and 7 rows. They're marching 24/7 for 7 days. That's a heck of a lot of quantity.
Yeah.
And they had to keep doing it. And they would be singing the note of the rocks until the rocks just received, until finally they would blow up. And it's just like science, it's resonance. And it's back to quantum energy, like now that I read about spooky action at a distance or different things in the quantum energy field, things proven now. Ancient people were manipulating quantum energy and understanding some of the ways it works. And then they would do it over and over and over again.
What I found interesting is there was something I always had thought about what had come to me, but, I really didn't see anybody else's idea on that. As you know, I work with the crystal skulls, the ancient crystal skulls. Mm-hmm. And I had intuitively always felt that one mentor would place, I don't know whether it's dimensionally, but, project information into the crystal or talk it into it or sing it into it or however it did it, into the crystal skull. And sometimes the certain crystal skulls were placed in different timelines to be recovered by other people. And you mentioned some things about crystal skulls, and I said, I think she's really got it there.
Yes. I had this vision one time where I was in Atlantis, and it was a building that was round, mm-hmm. and it appeared to me that it was walls of crystal, and in the center was a crystal skull in this lucid dream. And it was really weird. It was like the generator of the building, and it was fully animated with lights and sounds. And very much so, it was animated by sounds and colors. Colored light is just an octave higher, but you can correlate it to sound. Mm-hmm. And you can match them to get in more quantity again. And in my vision, the skull could then be programmed or be used as a container, like a history book.
Yeah, I always heard the Akashic records. I always felt many mm-hmm. of the skulls had the records. Yes. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And if you take Carillion photography that would photograph your aura, mm-hmm. and you take a crystal, and you take one of my CDs, play it around the crystal, and then take Carillion photography of the crystal before and after it got to listen to some of my sound healing stuff, you'll see the aura greatly enhanced just by listening. Mm. Just by listening. So, again, sound changes aren't obvious to us because we somehow are stuck on seeing as believing. Meanwhile, everything is mostly space, according to science, not even solid. And in ancient times, so I'm going back to legends and writings coming out of Central and South America about Atlas or Atlantis, and they talk about not the later Atlantis, the earlier Atlantis,
right? About
the people being very clairvoyant, clairaudient, like mm-hmm. Sherry Edwards in my Secret Sounds Ultimate Healing book, where she can hear, if you have diabetes, she can hear what you're thinking. She can hear your nanotransmitters. And so she's been able to come up with a science of sound. And again, it's in my Secret Sounds Ultimate Healing book, where you can use the sounds of the body for diagnosing, I shouldn't use that word, for diagnosing the harmony within the body,
Right.
and then providing it and allowing the body then to heal itself. And and think of Don Eden, who can look at you and say, your adrenals, they're not getting enough energy. She can see that.
Mm-hmm.
So if these people were clairvoyant and clairaudient, like these special women, then the use of sound and color, for that matter, I mean, it's not mystical. It's not even science. It's stupid obvious. It's in your face. If you get an illness, you start to sound bad.
Yeah, because
not intuitively, literally.
Yeah, sound is vibration, and we are molecules vibrating at different rates. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm just knowing, the effect. Maybe it's the subtle effect that you were talking about, because we're so in a world so surrounded by sound that sometimes I don't even think we hear it. We're not conscious of anything.
Right. Or we don't think about its impact on us. Literally, you ingest sound. I have a CD with sounds associated with vitamins, and you can look at the sounds in your body before and after and watch them change. If I were to play a frequency associated with niacin, your face flushes. You don't
really?
have to tell. I just play the frequency associated with it. We are unaware that we absorb sound. Now, it's subtle, meaning little by little. But so is the effect of water subtly breaks down a rock, and look at the Grand Canyon.
Right.
It adds up. It adds up.
That's right.
And that was a secret of ancient man.
Yeah, well, it's wonderful that the information comes out, that you don't have to go to a mystery school. You don't have to go through all kinds of initiations and, like, all right, you have to do it this way. This is the only ways that you can learn these things, that this information is being made available to people. And now it's up to people to start using the things that are, available to them. And when we always say, there's so many times you hear the words, you're creators. If people are like me, we go, duh. I'm not a creator. But if you really think of it, if I'm angry, people stand away from about 5 feet away from me, don't even come near me. But then it dawns on me, I'm projecting all this outside anger that these people are feeling. So it's to become conscious of everything. So, and the tones of voice and the words that we say, especially during these times of distress where people become fearful, and they keep, through their words, they transmit this fear to other people who may not have been fearful.
Yes, they do. And in Hermetic magic, so as above, so below. And if you were to go into a clock shop and see one great big grandfather clock going tick, tick, and a bunch of little ones, tick, 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 in about 8 minutes, every clock will be going tick, tick, tick.
Oh, really?
The stronger vibration overcomes the lesser. So we need to be the vibration of love. And that would be in our feelings, in our voice. And I also, we haven't mentioned the name of my book. It's The Lost Waves of Time. And it's available at jillswingsoflight.com. And what I wanted to say was that when I read these mystery schools, this took me 25 years, because they would do things like the Russian mage Gurdjieff would have this phrase, I'm going to bury the dog, meaning they're all fearful that this can be used against humanity. And so they purposely confuse it. They purposely leave out details. It's very hard to understand, even by attending a mystery school. And I think, I know it's time for it to come out. All information is out. We're going into the new age. It's sounds coming out at the very tail end. So we are the most evolved to handle it maturely. But, it's like I couldn't have figured out what was in the Egyptian mysteries about sound if I hadn't read the Chinese. And I couldn't have figured out the Chinese without having read the Sumerians. And a few clues were left from the Theosophy and Allayah. You know what I mean? It's like you go to the Aztecs and you go, now I understand what they were doing in the Druids.
Yeah, it's amazing. We can continue this. The show's going quickly. We'll be back in a few minutes.
The future of Internet radio is here. Om Times Radio. IOM FM. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Hi, this is Sylvia Henderson, intuitive life coach and energy healer. Are you ready to elevate and rise way above your normal? Be sure to listen to my show, Intuitive Transformations, on Om Times Radio, Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Get the inspiration you need to transform your life.
Do you want to be a better communicator? Do you want to better connect with the important people in your life? Do you want to enrich your relationships? If so, join me, Matthew Cooper, on the Positive Control System Show every Wednesday evening at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Om Times Radio. I'll meet you there.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the Internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. Om Times Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single Om Times endeavor. Host your show with Om Times Radio Network. Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
And before it gets too close to the end, because I want to take the last 5 minutes to, say something. Would you please give out your websites and also let people be aware that Jill is on YouTube. Listen to her videos and her CDs that she offers on websites. Okay, please, provide this information.
Oh, thank you. There's videos and a half-hour free sound healing music, and it makes a difference. Please get it. It's on the homepage of JillsWingsOfLight.com. JillsWingsOfLight.com. And there's videos, articles, books, CDs, and the book we've been talking about is The Lost Waves of Time. And then I did another website, ancient-music.com, to demonstrate some of the techniques in the book. And the book is also available there as well. Mm-hmm. But I have like the Egyptian death chant. I have some of the ancient Chinese, Hindu. I'm demonstrating some of the techniques, so that's a fun site. It also has The Lost Waves of Time.
Yeah, that book, like I said, I was able, she sent me, a preview of the book. And if you're at all interested in history and how our ancestors, this information that was available then is now coming out into the open now. Nothing more, as Jill said, is hidden. We're at a very unique point of awareness. So with the information, research it. And like I said, Jill has opened my mind to sound. I was very almost generic in my ideas about sound. I mean, I know, and this is nothing reflection on music. I just know if I listen to rap music, I'm ready to jump out of my skin. Because there is some rap music that has beautiful stories to share. But the gangster rap, they're sharing their stories, but they're sharing their anger. And if you're sensitive to energy, it makes you very angry. So this is an example. I mean, sometimes you pick the music. The music, if you go to a rock concert, that hypes you up. It's a whole different dimension. If you go to New Age, if you pick up the CDs on New Age or Reiki healing, you're so mellow out. So be aware of your reaction to the music. That's the only thing I was going to really try to get out. And also the power and sound of the words that you say and project, because they are building blocks, which I never connected it to. Like I said, I've studied the esoteric, but I must have, put it away in a compartment of my mind. And now I will try to be fully more consciousness. So if you wanted to say something about sound, what would you say, from your own point of view, if you wanted people to really start to understand what this is all about and not to take it lightly?
Well, let me see. We use sound to blow up a kidney stone. In medicine, we use sound you can use sound, I don't know, I'm drawing a blank here, but you sound with pins, you sound with a sonogram. There's different machines in medicine that use sound. For example, if you go to a bone doctor now, often you'll be given a sound box, and that's simply the frequency of your bone. Same idea that I had with the rock when we talked earlier.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
And it'll take the time needed to heal your bone, perhaps over 50% less. And I have CDs for cathartic release. You were talking about angry music. In the ancient Greek culture, they used music very target to pull out negative qualities in particular tribes or groups of people that acted similarly. And I've used that technology along with frequencies of your emotions and frequencies of the flower essences. So we're pulling out negative stuff, which it's a thing. Jesus says, as you think it, it is, because it's a subtle energy. You think it, you feel it, you created it. And with sound, you can start to transform that. And I'm doing that in my Healing Flower Symphonies. We're just shaking, rattling, pulling out the ugly stuff, and we all got it from this life, past lives, people around us, and start putting in virtues and values.
It almost sounds very shamanic in a way. The way the shaman healers, they would use either the rattles or something else to break up the energies.
Absolutely. And I know it's unrelated, but it's something that you've been keep going back to is the voice. And I just want to point out that when Jesus said, "Be well," and a miracle happens, a large part of it would be his consciousness, but not all. Part of it is his voice. And there are tones that, like let's say I have diabetes and you don't. I might need a sound that's going to put my body into harmony to get rid of my diabetes, and you may not. So there's generic, and all my CDs have generic blessings. They help everyone no matter what. But there's generic, and then there's very specific frequencies. So let's say you were angry. I could put a calming energy in my voice, like, "Oh, it's okay. It doesn't matter that this is a problem because in time that we're going to get over it." And it's kind of like
you can feel it in the body when you listen, really.
Yeah, and so you can see how you could use a voice like that to disarm an angry person. It can be done in song, it can be done in music, with intent and knowledge. And so part of being a master is mastering your sound. Very important.
Yeah, that's why I said this information about sound was very exciting because it helped me remember. And, there's so much to it. Like I said, in Jill's new book, there's so much about, she goes through history, details. We're not talking, well, maybe a chapter on this. Every chapter, there's so much detail that you just like, wow. I know that's a simple word, but it really is. There's so much knowledge in each chapter, an explanation, and it all makes so much sense. So, really get to know Jill in your own spiritual path. And, she has a lot of CDs available and samples of the CDs. So the information is out there for you. And like I said, we've only touched upon tiny aspects of her work. You would need about 4 or 5 shows to really get into depth. But this is a good way to introduce her. So, Jill, I'm glad we finally were able to connect.
Yes, thank you for your kindness and for reaching out. I do appreciate it.
Well, like I said, your work is really it's important to be out there. So it's listed, on the shows, on the promos. So now it's up to everybody that chooses to listen and to become aware, because it's really exciting, because you become empowered. It's not like you're a victim of anything. Mm-hmm. You realize that maybe that's why we lost this sense of information, because that sense of power, only certain people wanted that power. So they helped everybody feel that they were powerless. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does, and that's what sound, as I'm saying, is this subtle energy, meaning you get small little quantum bits, but you are in charge, and you can build your power base. Like I have some chakra scenes. I'm literally building the solar plexus power. You can create music to create your own power, and that's how you heal others. And that's how you become a bigger in light. That's how you walk down the street, and everybody around you's blessed because they're in your path. It's about strength and power for light.
Yeah, it all comes from your heart, really. Your heart is your center. Maybe people are afraid of power because they're afraid, of influencing other people. But I always go, follow your heart. If you give
influence
from your
them
heart.
Anyway.
Yeah,
you influence them anyway. The question is, are you of the light or not?
Well, I think everybody's of the light. People get a little confused at times, but we're all light.
So but we need to be conscious that we what we think and feel and say in front of other people, because we're not in a bubble.
No.
In a wave pool.
No, now it's really we're conscious. There's no more excuses of, well, I didn't know that. The information is out there.
Dear. Yes.
It's out
and
there.
That's what it's all about, I think. I really wondered through this. It's like each epic, you see mankind getting deeper into duality, losing more and more spiritual connection. I kept thinking, well, there's billions of people on this earth. What are we all? Morons,
Well, there was the Dark Ages, That's why I said, unfortunately, we ended our show. But, I'm hoping to arrange another time to get you back, because this is great information, Jill.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. All right, I'll finish that thought next show. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you so much. Everybody have a wonderful week. And during this time of difficulty, come from your heart and only spread words. Be conscious of what you say. And really be of service to the world by coming from your heart. Thank you so much. Till next week.
Your conscious life.